Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt
And
Roast.
I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
We are here with our reaction and review for Widow's Bay Season 1, Episode 3. This episode, in a way that really surprised me, hit
Mhm.
home in a manner in which I would have never
Oh,
expected. See, I did not grow up in the Northeast, New England, any of these island towns. I grew up in a very small town in North Texas, but I was right next to a lake. And for a good percentage
mhm.
of my childhood, I was terrified to go in this lake. I mean, not just because I wasn't a good swimmer, but because all these people around me, both kids and adults, claimed that this lake was too polluted. There were like three-eyed fish that were living in this lake, other creatures that would just like come and grab me and yank me into the water.
Oh my goodness. I feel like this is just the tale that parents tell all their children to keep them away from water because I grew up in Toronto
Okay,
by
okay.
Lake Ontario and I had the three-eyed fish story as
Okay.
well.
All right. Apparently, the three-eyed fish story is kind of universal, but I think that's what makes this show in a lot of ways so fun is we
Yeah.
kind of have these weird anecdotal attachments, and even if we don't relate necessarily with every single character, we kind of understand the character that is the town, and then that connects to the real mystery that's at the heart of the show, and that is like what is real and what are these just old wives' tales, these anecdotes that are passed down from one generation to the next.
And I think the thing that's really relatable about this show to a lot of people,
Mhm.
me especially, is that if you sort of hear a tale and it starts to grow, that, you can just think yourself to death into a way that you end up scaring yourself to death. And I really feel like that is what is happening to Tom here, that the more he's hearing about things, the more it's just building up and building up and building up in his head to where it's becoming this very real thing, even though tinfoil hat, I don't think it is. I still feel like there are people in this town that are creating these lores and these different horrors to scare him with.
I think there is a decent amount of evidence of this. I mean, we're going to go through everything in this video and try to put on our tinfoil hats
Yes.
repeatedly as we talk all about it. But before we do, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are going to be here throughout all of Widow's Bay,
Yep.
breaking things down, going into theories, of course, loving what you guys are saying in the comments as well.
Yeah, I'm so glad that everybody is watching the show with
Mhm.
us. Apple TV, they're not always the best at getting promos out there and really spreading the word. And
Mhm.
this show didn't even have a trailer. They just had a bunch of teasers out that were really good, but there wasn't enough that people were really talking about. So we were very thankful that you guys have decided to check out the show with us. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, we really appreciate that.
You can also head over to our memberships here
Mhm.
on YouTube, where we are also talking about Widow's Bay over there. And it really helps us here at the channel. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys. That is so very much appreciated. First and foremost, one thing I'll just say in terms of the format of this show, and
Yeah.
I'll make a bizarre connection to the Blacklist that we watched and covered and loved for so
Oh,
many years. I think one
my
of the
heart.
things the Blacklist it captured our heart because yeah, there were these long-term mysteries, including some we still don't have an answer to till this day, but they were often framed where every episode kind of had its own thing, but it also
Yep.
connected the larger mystery. And so far through Widow's Bay, episode 1, we have an introduction to the town.
Mhm.
Episode 2, the hotel and everything that happened there. And then episode 3, we get this whole story about the sea witch and what's really going on here, whether or not she's real, what is she doing to Tom. It stands out on its own, but it's also connected to everything else.
Okay, everybody put on your tinfoil hats. Let's talk about the sea witch. Is she real? Is this something that is just in Tom's head? Or are we at the third option, which is that some of this is in Tom's head, but there is a small group of people in this town that is really trying to fire up Tom to get him to stop the tourists from coming there. Yes, they're already there, but to get them out, to stop anyone else from coming, and to stop people who were born there from leaving the island, that they want to get the island back to what it was. Now, Wyck, I've been looking at you since the beginning of this, that I truly feel like you are the leader of get off my island, don't come to my island, I don't want to see tourists on my island. And how is he going to be able to stop that? by bringing this lore, which probably started as like a small little, tale throughout the town, that now he's been able, with the help of, I think, other people in the town, been able to create this into a huge fear where a lot of the townsfolk know the lore. They're scared of the lore. We've seen Patricia. She's nervous about, the boogeyman, these other things that have happened there. Now we have Tom, who is living with fear in his head. It feels like a lot of it is in his head. I feel now that all the tourists, they're there, they're eating their ice cream, they're swimming at their beach, all of these things that are happening, that Wyck's like, I need to ramp it up a bit. So he decides that he's going to pull out the Sea Witch. He's going to have somebody who's part of his little group be like, you know what? You're going to dress up as this. You're going to scratch him. He's definitely going to come to me because I am the lore guy. And at the end of this, I'm going to save him by shooting mud and seaweed all over the place. And he will think that I killed the Sea Witch. No problem. And I've got him in the bag.
Okay. I want to go through these piece by piece because, yeah, this is complicated and also delightful in the worst possible way. So first and foremost, as you mentioned, the initial encounter with the Sea Witch, where this comes after, fittingly, his first encounter with tourist Marissa. And we'll get back to Marissa in a second here because I do have a lot of questions with that. But he sees the Sea Witch for the first time on the road. And yeah, this is where I'm fully in lockstep with you. This is Wyck going to, let's just say Birdie is this person. Hey, Birdie, do you want to go dress up?
Yeah, I am Mabel. Who will dress up and come down here and scratch Tom.
Yeah, and so clearly that was something that physically happened because we didn't just have Wyck in the aftermath of this. Tom also goes to the doctor at a point here. And so unless the doctor is just like, oh, there's a wound there, when there's really not, I think there actually is, because then we're starting to get a little bit too weird with perspectives. Then the show is almost trying to drive us crazy. And maybe that's possible. I just don't see it. So I think, there was an actual physical woman there.
Yeah, I think that Wyck has a group of people that are all of the same mindset. Keep tourists out of here, keep our people here. Tom, this outsider, is now our mayor and he's bringing in more outsiders. How do we control this tourist situation? We have to control Tom. So I think Wyck got one of his group to dress up as the Sea Witch, scratch him to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, and this is where things get a little bit more interesting to me, as we get into encounter number 2. So we are at the inaugural swim now, which seems like a fun enough idea. I don't know why Tom needed those speakers. Everybody was like 10 feet in front of him. But anyway, he's doing the inaugural swim. He gets out there. Everything is okay. And then on his way back, oh, here comes the Sea Witch. And this is where I'm guessing he ends up hurting his leg/foot on, I don't know, a pointy rock.
A rock.
Yeah, a crab, something. Because everybody else, wouldn't they have been like, oh, who's this in the water? And are you also then going to be like, if you're Wyck, hey, Birdie, can you go and just like submerge yourself in the water for 5 minutes?
Yeah, this is where I just feel like Tom's building of fear in his own mind. He thinks he saw the Sea Witch, but really he didn't.
Yeah, at this point, Tom has already been kind of debriefed as to who this Sea Witch is. And so at that point, like, all of that lore is already in his head. And I think because of what happened in the hotel, and this is where we kind of get into like the sequential storytelling here, he already has a little bit of a reason to be paranoid, even if there was like a scientific explanation for some of that in the hotel. I still don't think you go through something like that and you're just like, oh, it was just because of what was in the room. It's all fine now.
He also has the fog and everything that happened with Shep. And for Tom, there is no logical explanation for that yet. We know about the chair that's like beneath the sewers and all that. And we explained a little bit about that in our premiere video, but he doesn't know about that.
Yeah, and this is what kind of makes the show really, really dark and funny at the same time, which is that what Tom is doing here, he's not an altogether good guy for this, because let's just map this out. He's starting to legitimately believe that there are terrible things happening in this town that are quite possibly supernatural, and yet he is just blissfully trying to ignore them so he can have more people come in and make money. It's like, dude, if you actually think there's bad things happening in your town, you're the mayor and you're just letting people continue to come.
Listen, I don't think Tom is all bad, but he's certainly not all good.
Yeah, he's living in this weird sort of delusion, and I don't know if a part of this is just like, "Oh, this is just all happening to me. Nobody else is talking about it, so if it's just happening to me,
Yeah.
can I live with it? I'm making money. Maybe I will just carry this albatross around my neck."
Okay, let's talk about Marissa. How
Mhm.
many people here thought the same as Tom? Because there was a while there that I was just like, yeah, it is kind of weird that she's there for this bachelorette party. Where are the friends? I don't understand what's going on here. Is she the sea witch?
Okay, I'll go through the journey with this because at first, like halfway through this episode, and this was right after he goes back to the mayor's office and Marissa turns up, she's not there. I was like, oh, maybe she's the sea witch. And then I was just like high fiving myself. I was, look how smart I am. I figured it all out. And then the show was just like, Matt Roast, you dumb dumb. You thought you had figured all of this out. And really, they just put us in Tom's brain. But here's, I think, the larger question I have with all of this with Marissa is that clearly Marissa was a real person. We saw her
Yes.
get in the cab talking to, I'm guessing, her
Her
girlfriend.
friends, yeah.
Yeah. And so they all kind of egged her on. But was she still somehow a part of this plan where if you are some of the townspeople and maybe you're around her and her buddies, you're like, oh, I saw you with the mayor earlier. Maybe you should go and do this. Like, are you kind of subtly using her to some extent to be a part of your plan?
It's possible. I mean, it just depends on maybe how long she's been there. People
Mhm.
are believing in what she's saying and what they're saying. It's difficult to know because she was supposed to meet Tom at this bar and she never showed up. She never
Yeah.
showed up. Her friends never showed up. This is a bachelorette party on an island where there's like two bars, right? So
Yeah.
what is happening that they didn't show up?
There's just a lot of things about this whole storyline that are really, really weird to me. Yeah, number one, not showing up there when she said she was going to in a
Yeah.
town where there's not a lot of options. And then you flip from that to being like, okay, I don't need to go to this bar. Maybe I've changed my mind. I didn't talk to Tom that much. To then the next day, you were suddenly one of the most thirsty people
Oh my
imaginable. You
goodness.
are at the mayor's office. You then somehow manage to get his phone number. You also are there at the tavern near the end, and then you go to his house, even though he didn't give you the address.
No, and that's why I totally understood why Tom felt that this was the Sea Witch because I was totally buying it at
Yeah.
that point as well. She said to come home with him at the restaurant. He said no. It
Yes.
wasn't even like, I don't know. I'm not sure. He just said no. No
Yeah.
means no. And then you show up. I would be so paranoid. And even if the whole Sea Witch thing wasn't going on,
Yeah.
if I said no and you showed up at my house, I'm just calling the cops. There's no way that that's happening. Like, no is no. He's not into that.
No, that's why I was really weirded out by the whole thing. Even if she wasn't the sea witch,
So weird.
I would have never let her in. And it's like,
No.
okay, sure, I get it, Marissa. It's Matthew Reese. He's a very good looking man. He has a lot of charms. He's maybe you want to be the first lady of Widow's Bay. I don't know. But still, to go to this extent, it felt like, yeah, there has to be some ulterior motive. And I come away from this episode, and maybe the show is driving me crazy. I still kind of wonder if there was one. I mean, yeah, her friends may be real, but that doesn't mean everything else is.
Yeah, something was just so strange with that story. I mean, they only knew each other for like, what was it, like a day?
Yeah.
And she didn't even want to get into the car with him. And now she's been told, I'm not interested in having you back at my place. And she's
Yeah.
just going to look it up and come over anyways. There's something that's weird there. I don't know if this is the last we've seen of her or not.
Okay, I'm going to put on a tinfoil hat here
Okay.
because, Wick, is at the top of your suspect board and for a
Yes.
particularly good reason. I think if Wick is the front runner, I think somebody who could be very much working with him or is just shady for the sake of being shady
Yeah.
is, of course, Jeff Hiller's character of Dale, because Jeff Hiller is not allowed to play someone who's not shifty. The thing about he doesn't have a ton of screen time in this episode.
Yeah.
There's just something very odd about we're in this sort of planning meeting, and you could already see on Tom's face that he's like going through it. And Dale's just sitting there like harping on him about economics and all of this weird stuff. And I'm just like, either you have no understanding of body language here, Dale, and you don't recognize that Tom is not hearing you, or you're just intentionally trying to like scramble his brain because, I think we've all been in this
Yep.
situation where if there's something on our mind and the person sitting across from us just keeps talking and talking, it kind of feels like, why are you doing this? You can tell I'm not doing okay, right?
I feel like Wyck has to have somebody on Tom's team
Mhm.
that is a plant. And I mean, Jeff Hiller, he's so great. And if you're going to have him on a show, he's got to be in with all the creepiness that could possibly be happening, right?
Right?
The other person I was kind of wondering a little bit about was maybe Patricia, but it feels like if Dale was there when Tom said, "Oh, I gave this woman a ride." And Patricia was like, "Oh, how old was she? Is she attractive? Is she this?" And getting a little bit jealous. I mean, it could be Patricia, but I don't think so. It feels like she's just part of the hysteria of all the lore. But Dale was listening, so he would have heard that, ran back to Wick and went, "Okay, listen, this is how we get him." Patricia was just, giving him a little bit of crap about this. Let's put another woman on the street so that he's going to have to stop to be like, "Would you like a ride?"
I think the fun thing is it really could be either one of them because they were both there in that scene. And yeah, there's a part of me that wants to see Jeff Hiller play weird just because he's so good at it, but it is
Yes,
also
he
kind
is.
of like the show made us right along with this trope that Marissa's the sea witch, only to sort of flip that on its
It
head.
was so good. They really got
Yeah,
me.
I would be okay if they totally get me on Jeff Hiller as well, and watch Jeff Hiller just be like the nicest, kindest, sweetest man in all of Widow's Bay, and I've just been here suspicious of him because of my preconceived notions.
Okay, speaking of Patricia, she had this whole like cocktail hour that she was supposed to be doing, but this episode ended with like this huge emergency. It was like all hands on deck, a fire, ambulance, everybody needs to go down there.
Yeah, I am kind of confused about what's going on here, but I also am sort of sitting back and wondering, is all of this connected to Tom's son? Not in the way that Tom's son's responsible for it, but there have just been so many episodes at this point where him and his buddies are kind of off doing their own thing, causing a little bit of trouble around the town. And
Yeah,
yeah, this could be
I think so.
someone trying to stir the supernatural waters and saying this is happening, but it could also be kind of just the human element of people trying to cause a ruckus in the town, pointing the finger at Tom's own son and just being like, your kid is causing all this. So it's just like even more stress added on top of him. So it's like that much easier to get him to lose his mind.
We also had a little bit with the son, and his friends trying to impress some of the girls who have come to the island, throwing firecrackers and all that kind of stuff. So it's possible that they just amped it up to try to be like, "Hey, this is what we do for fun out here." But it does feel like it still could all be playing into, we need to get all the tourists off this island. So if they're all going to a mixer
Yeah.
and, it all gets set on fire or whatever's happening to it, then the word is going to spread when they go back to the mainland. Don't go over there. Bad things happen when you're there.
Yeah, and it was also interesting that Patricia really was insistent on Tom being there. And yeah, there's a part of
Yes.
this that is, Tom's the mayor, he should be there. Like I understand all of that. And so if the idea that
And she's
Patricia
thirsty for him.
yeah, like all of this would make sense given Patricia and who she is, but I think if she is in on it, wouldn't she want him to be there just so that he can see with his own eyes everything that is going on? It's just like the more terrible situations you can get him in front of, like in that sort of way, isn't everyone or the people involved in this really
Mhm.
better off?
Okay, we need to talk about Reverend Bryce because
Okay.
this storyline, man, the mystery behind it, it's so good. They are not giving me nearly enough that I can really like dive into it, but they're giving me just enough that I can't stop thinking about it. So we
Yes.
know that the bells were tolling and
Mhm.
he was saying that he didn't hear them, but Tom heard them and a couple other people heard them. We know that he went back, he checked out the bells, they're all still chained up. He opened up this letter that's basically like, to the next reverend who's going to be
Mhm.
here taking care of this parish. If you ever hear the bells, do this. And then it got cut off and we didn't get to see. But in this episode, we saw Bryce running through the forest, going up to what looked like a well,
Yep.
listening down the well, and then seeing Tom's kid and being like, there's evil afoot, and kind of going off the screen. Still not enough information, but something is really weird here.
Yeah, from
He is not in on it. If
no.
there's like a Wyck controlled group,
Yeah.
Bryce does not know what is going
No,
on.
Bryce is clueless, and yet I'm still so confused by Bryce. So let's just take this piece by piece for a moment here, starting with why are you wandering in the woods in the middle of the night here, Bryce? Like,
I'm guessing that had to be in the if you hear the bells toll, because he's like, I've heard them now.
yeah,
Then do this. So maybe that's what he's supposed to do. Go listen to the well.
yeah, I'm guessing it had to have been something that was written down or instructed to him because this also gets back to the job, right? Like, if
Right.
you are a man of the cloth, then you're kind of, there's an inherent amount of trust that goes along with that. Like, people listen to you,
Yep.
they believe in you. So, like you said in the premiere, like, this reverend has been sort of wound up by the old reverend who was
Mhm.
seemingly a part of this, and Wick is now using this new reverend who comes from this place of trust, of vulnerability, that he can then potentially spread this paranoia elsewhere. So then we get to the reverend is at the well. Presumably he's hearing something. Now, what I'm kind of curious about is did he hear something down in the well? Because this is where we go full murder mystery slash
Mhm.
clue with all of this for a moment. I believe there are tunnels that go all throughout the town. And we
Mhm.
talked a little bit about this with the chair in the premiere as well, where if your whole objective here is, I want to try to mess with people as much as possible,
Yes.
regardless of who's behind it or not. It has to be, whether it's Wick or somebody else, like somebody who's been there a long time, knows the history, knows the tunnel, so that they
Mhm.
can kind of run back and forth
That's
between
right.
various places undetected and sort of kind of get people to continually question how can they be in multiple places at once. I think we're going to be building and building and building to this. And I think later on this season, we may end up seeing, okay, whether it's the crawl space at the end, under the well,
Mhm.
the chair, that all these places are somehow connected. And I'm not saying everything is going to have a realistic explanation, but I think at least some things could.
Yes.
In general, I feel like Widow's Base just kind of playing around with the idea of how much can we get away with when it comes to what you as viewers are willing to believe and buy into.
Yeah.
That is where we are coming out of Widow's Bay season 1 episode 3. What did you guys think about all this? What do you believe is going on? Who is
Mhm.
in on it? Who is not in on it? And be sure to join our memberships. That is a great way to support us further. Thank you so
Thank
much to
you.
everyone who has, and we will see you here next time.